You can tell that it's just filling out in the stands right now in brand new renovated Jervy. So I'm so excited to get this game started.
Right in the mouth of the student section, Ryan Baker serves to start things. And Catherine Sant, the opposing setter, able to line things up on the right pin. And Clemson off and running a first set that they feel like they have to win.
Yes, and you know, that was a great play made right there. Honestly, when I was watching it with that pass, I thought it was gonna go outside. So to set the right side hitter, I was like, okay, I like what I'm seeing.
Early kill from the freshman from Finland, Nea Maria Joki. As Taylor serves, and a quick set to the middle is miscommunicated to the Rutgers transfer Tina Grikovic. And Clemson off to an early lead. How important is holding serve and avoiding early side outs?
You know, it's such a strange world in the serving world because I think that it's so important to come aggressive in the gym where sometimes you are going to make errors, but I do know for Wake Forest in particular, that has been one thing that they've really focused on, is just coming at them with hard serves.
Sahara Maruska, and now Jamie Santer at the left pin with the tip over, the transfer from Hawaii. As Joki sends a free ball out to Farrell, and it's set up for Grikovic. Wake Forest, a team with 3 conference wins, coming off of a sweep of Notre Dame and led in large part by Olivia Murphy, the right side, with the kill there.
Olivia Murphy just coming off of an injury from last season, and she is one of those players for Wake Forest that we will see the ball go to her time and time again until she gets shut down, which very rarely happens.
Quite a story here in Jamie Santer, who did not play any indoor volleyball in her 4 seasons out on the island, but an all-conference beach standout and All-American as well. She's earned her way into the starting lineup.
Yes, I always love that story. Can you imagine, you know, you're going from being in Hawaii for 4 years to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. A little bit of a change up.
No more beach ball.
Yes, not quite the right weather anymore.
Good pickup by Baker, bumped out of system to the back row, and Santer misses wide on the big swing as Clemson leads 3-1. And early, we are seeing both teams really targeting that setter, trying to get the offense out of system.
Yes, definitely trying to do that. And I'm going to say for Clemson and Wake. Wake has 3 wins in a row right now, so we know that Clemson's trying to break this streak right now, and they're really trying to secure that ACC win under their belt. So I think we're going to see blood, sweat, and tears coming from the Tigers tonight.
Joki just long, one of the top serving freshmen in the conference, as she will sub out for Addie Raines, who has been a standout freshman in the back row. And it has been a revolving door for the starting lineup for the 4th-year head coach Jackie Simpson-Keir.
It has been, and we talked about, you know, they had 14 freshmen that came in last year, so super young team, but now, you know, slowly kind of growing. At this point of the season, you would think that they are a little bit more developed with who's going to be the key players on the team, but I think that there's just a lot of great options.
And this is one player in particular, and Catherine Sant, who has earned the spot as the sole starting setter. And another look at her dump.
You know, and that was one of those things, when I was doing my homework on these girls, I saw that Catherine can get active, which I love an active setter, so I hope that this is something we continue to see.
Meanwhile, keep an eye on number 7 in orange. Asia Daly has checked in for the first time as McGrath serves it into the net. And those two, the heartbeat of this offense. Mia McGrath, Asia Daly, 30 kills last week in the 5-set loss at Georgia Tech.
I mean, 30 kills. Can we think about that for a second? Because that is impressive. Not to mention, Georgia Tech is a major team in the ACC, so that is a huge accomplishment. And interesting enough, a lot of the Tigers had some of their top numbers put out in that game.
Hansen off 1 foot, misses long, and Wake has it even as the freshman from Atlanta in Drew Lalagi has battled through injuries, just played 12 sets this season, but earning the trust of her coach and Randy Smart. Tight early here through the first 10 or so points as Daly gets her first swing. And on the slide comes the sophomore from LA as Dior Charles has a rocket arm.
Dior Charles was just such a great addition for Wake Forest. She's one of those players that her presence is known when she's out there. She just brings so much hype and excitement for this team. She's fun to watch.
Charles had over a kill and block per set last season. She's replicated those numbers here in her sophomore campaign as this line drive serve tails long, and we're tied at 5. Meanwhile, another big middle comes in as Indigo Young, the transfer from Charleston Southern. Undersized at 6 foot, Megan, but she can jump out of the gym.
Yeah, and that's when we had the opportunity to talk with Coach Simpson-Kier. She had mentioned that the middles were one of the top priorities when she recruited him, so they were very intentional with wanting to make sure they had some solid options.
Both coaches emphasizing the middle production as a perfect first ball sets things up for another slide kill for Charles.
You know, for me personally, I love seeing all the options of just not counting on your pin hitters constantly to be the ones. And, you know, a lot of it comes from ball control in order for you to set up those middles. So I think what we're seeing so far is, you know, the defense, which we talked about early on, is doing a really nice job creating these opportunities. And there you go right there, Young with an awesome kill behind.
Both teams with 3 early kills as Indigo Young makes herself known. We can take another look.
I mean, Daniel, I don't know about you, but I feel like we're going like tit for tat right now. We're like, Dior's like, all right, I'm going to get a kill on a slide, and then Young just answering right back.
Sant will serve in rotation 1. Great pickup by Farrell. First swing for Paige Crawford, one of the heavy hitters from Wake, as Asia Daly responds and Clemson retakes the lead.
Asia Daly did a nice job there on that swing. Wake Forest traditionally is known for being a very solid blocking team in the ACC and honestly, just overall in all of volleyball. And so they're gonna have to be smart and creative with their shots.
Crawford goes over the block, and this is a former all-freshman team member in Crawford who got a bulk of the sets last season, but Megan, they're working on more variants this year.
Yeah, I think that a lot of pressure was put on Crawford in the past, but she's one of those players that can handle the pressure. She's just a tried and true for the Deeks.
Averaging 2.5 kills per set as the southpaw Farrell, handled by Taylor. Look at Daly rotating from the left to the right. She has 2 early kills.
See on the Farrell's face right there, you know, she could tell, I know that ball's going out, but I kind of happened to be standing in the way and it just happened to graze her.
Daly, who started the season as the right side hitter in the 6-2 offense, filtered out to the left side in the weekend against Virginia and Virginia Tech, and has not looked back as the match's first ace gives Clemson a 2-point edge, and that's McKenna Gildon, the sophomore from Texas.
That was a nice jump float serve that just seemed very intentional with its placement.
8th ace of the season for Gildon. Crawford will pick it up. Maruska from the back row. And Yoki doubles up her kill total as Clemson's offense is clicking.
Yoki, excellent swing there from the right side. You know, one of those things we have to recognize is all the flags that are inside Clemson. I know that Jackie Simpson-Kier said, I want to fill up this gym with just representation from places all over the world, including Finland.
Give and go for Crawford. She's roofed, and it's Yoki again.
Huge block right there set up on the outside. Let's take a look at this. These two just molded together perfectly, closing it up, not leaving any opportunity for a shot right there.
And Wake Forest will use the first time out of the match. We'll take one with them as Clemson on a 4-0 run, leading early.
This is the ACC, where greatness isn't just a goal, it's our relentless pursuit.
Well, there you go.
Where elite coaches and preeminent players constantly strive to redefine what's possible. Here, greatness knows no limits. Here, achievements speak louder than words, and legacies are cemented. This is the ACC, accomplished greatness.
For the second time in the last 3 years, Clemson men's soccer is once again national champs.
If Clemson's a stock, you better buy all you freaking can buy right now. Let's
go. The world needs you to tackle the challenges that we are facing, and I believe that your impact at Clemson and across the world will be significant in your lifetime.
Today, Pro Humanitate is still Wake Forest's much cherished motto. It tells us to be friends to all humanity, to teach, to help, to serve. Wake Forest really has no peers. We succeed or we fail only insofar as we are true to our commitments, to our own ambitions, with friendship an honor.
So we focus on Clemson's head coach as Jackie Simpson-Keir put a lot of pressure early in the season. She's tried to take that pressure off and really emphasize to us that you don't have to win any sets anymore, Megan.
Yeah, you know, and you mentioning pressure, when we talked to her, she talked about the importance of normalizing it. And she said even in practices, she's making practices harder, where she's putting the players in those situations to where they almost have to get comfortable with the pressure, which I think is a great coaching tactic.
Huge pickup by Taylor. 4-0 run, and Mia McGrath's first swing, nearly a kill. Sent over on 3, Sant tight to the net. Young with a catapult, and Clemson leads by 5.
Huge swing right there for Young. Great opportunity. I mean, you gotta credit setter Sant for just opening up that opportunity to where she was set up one-on-one, which is great for a middle.
Indigo Young, second in Charleston Southern history with her career hitting percentage up over 320. And a good set to the big middle in Olivia Frankie, who was just cleared a few hours ago to get back on the court. Great to see her out there.
Frankie doing a nice job getting away from the 5-0 run that the Clemson Tigers just had. So, you know, Frankie is one of those players that Coach Randy Smart has always said, when you want somebody to take care of the ball, she's the girl to do it.
Great story on Frankie. We'll update you as the match goes on, but she's certainly one of the leaders in this Demon Deacon program. Replaces Grikovic after her stumbling start, but Frankie was phenomenal in the win over Clemson last year. 8 kills and 8 blocks. So Coach Smart wanted to use that experience here tonight.
Yes, they like to call her Mama Deke because of the grad student. She's been around for some period of time, and they just, you know, she's kind of the voice of reason and mama for the team.
Ooh, this one just catches the corner. And we'll see if Coach Keir wants to use her first challenge as she walks by the green card. Gives a glance, and we'll let them play on. So a smart shot to the corner. Finally ends a lengthy out of system. McGrath is blocked, and that big Wake wall shows up early.
They are there, and that is a wall to be up against. I mean, those are just 2 tall, strong, solid players. I also got to mention, though, right there, Devin Taylor just had this incredible back set that went to the outside, but unfortunately just, I mean, they were prepped for it on Wake Forest. They knew where it was going, and they put up a tower.
Megan, both of these liberos average over an assist a set, so we can keep our eyes on those two-handed sets as Yoki is picked up by Baker. Right back.
Great
Finnish
dig right
freshman.
there.
Tight to the net. There had to have been some net collision, but they will call it a kill on the right side from Olivia Murphy. Start with the save here defensively.
Yeah, you take a look right there. Emma Farrell, just great dig. Again, I talked about how she's just going to flail her body, but Wake did a nice job making sure to follow that ball out.
Now the Deacons on their own 3-0 run. Out to Maruska.
Amazing dig right there down the line.
And it turns into a kill. That's a reaction save by Sant.
Kill from the save. Yeah, I like that. That was a body sacrifice right there. And I'll tell you what, when we were talking before this game got started, Maruska, the power, that had to hurt a little bit. I mean, I can't even explain the amount of power that comes behind her hits.
Sahara Maruska, the transfer from Rice in her first season in the ACC. That's the second time that Wake Forest has gotten tight to the net. This time they're going to call them, and so the infraction continues the service run for Yoki.
Yeah, Yoki, I'm watching right now because I know that she's a very strong server for the Tigers. I'm trying to figure out what it is. Like, does she put some special spin on there? Is it floating? So let's watch closely right here. Oh yeah, that's a nice float.
Team's leading ace getter as Maruska with the left hand. Sant says, I can do that as well. But then demolished by Frankie as she's starting to heat up.
I love that swing right there for Frankie. I mean, that's just a tough spot, and especially when you're putting it in that back right corner.
Brad Sr. out of Virginia. Now we'll go back to serve as Charles files into the front row. will get one out of the back row with a little bit of sauce, 16-12.
Now, in my experience, I feel like this has tended to be a good rotation for Wake Forest because they've got, you know, some good options up front. They have Santer in the back row, so they can use her for a back if need be. And with her experience in beach volleyball, I feel like she's comfortable kind of jumping anywhere on the court.
Coach Smart thought about a challenge there, but play will continue here midway through this opening set. Both coaches, remember, just 2 challenges throughout the match. If you win, you get it back. Charles, 3 swings, 3 kills, and Wake Forest in system has been nearly unstoppable.
They really are, and that's what we said early on. It's like if they are passing well and they are in system, they are creating an opportunity. So it's just making it challenging for the blockers to figure out where that ball's gonna go.
Dior leading all players in offense. She had 10 blocks in the 3-set win at Notre Dame.
She jumps out of the gym.
It's 3 blocks a set.
That's
Teams
incredible.
won't even do that.
No, that's incredible.
And the ace for Lalaji forces a timeout here for Clemson as Wake Forest pulls within 2. We'll stay right here and focus in on Wake Forest. You know, these 2 coaches know each other very well. 4th year for Coach Keir, but she was with Clemson for 4 prior. Randy Smart spent 8 years out in California at a D2 school. The transition from that to the ACC, what have you seen from her in the last 6 years?
Nothing but growth, and I think they call it the Randy Smart era to play on the Taylor Swift era pun. So I think that they are so happy to have her be a part of the team. I know her son now actually is a student at Wake Forest, which is really fun and exciting for her. But one of the other interesting parallels that I see between these 2 coaches, and honestly for collegiate coaches in general, is a lot of them are setters. And I kind of sat trying to think on that a little bit of like, what is it? And I think it's just that the setters are known as kind of being the quarterback of the team. And a lot of people say they're almost like the coach's ear on the court. And so I just think that they see the court in a different way, which translates over somehow into coaching. I'm not really quite sure what it is, but I've just found that that's a very common theme.
I see that as well. Coach Smart, all SEC setter at LSU. Took this Demon Deacon team to the NIVC 2 seasons ago and brought them to their highest RPI ranking last year in the top 25. As Wake comes off of a win against Notre Dame, they'll take on Georgia Tech on the road this weekend. So this is a big week for Wake Forest to propel themselves into a 5-5 conference record.
Yeah, and just looking at the score right now, you know, it's kind of had some ups and downs where we've seen the teams get ahead by a little bit. Clemson had a 5-point run, but Wake Forest is very comfortable for being around for the long end game. They go to 5 quite frequently, and they're comfortable with it. So, you know, this is not going to be a tough situation where, you know, they're going to give up. They're ready to battle.
It's coming out of the timeout. Wake Forest has taken 3 of the last 4 points. Out to Daly, who's forced to tip. Maruska is blocked, and Sant teams up with Hampson out there.
I love seeing Sant. I mean, Clemson, years prior, we had McKenna Slavic that was on the court for years and years and years. So it's nice to see this young, fresh face come out on the court with a lot of confidence, because being a new setter, I mean, that's a big role to take on.
She had over 60 assists at Georgia Tech last week. And what a save this is from Maruska. Scrambling on D, Daly will create a net violation, and Asia Daly picks up her 3rd kill.
That's got to be something that's a little bit frustrating for the Deeks right now, is just kind of minding their space a little bit more and just staying out of the net. I think that's the 3rd net violation.
And especially with a huge dig by Farrell.
Yeah, not what you're wanting.
Good serve by Hansen. Out to Charles. Great cover. And it's set out to Maruska, who swipes it wide. So Clemson on defense, translating here to a 5-point edge.
You know, Maruska's one of those players that, while I mentioned she has a massive amount of power, she's also one of those that has just about every shot in her tool bag. So I honestly was kind of surprised that that one was pushed a little bit. I think she was looking for hands and just missed.
So Clemson on their own 3-0 run forces the final timeout of the set from Randy Smart. And, well, Megan, You've watched Clemson, you've seen Wake Forest, you've called their matches this year. The first set, what does it really mean for the length of the match? You mentioned Wake likes to go deeper so they can kind of adjust throughout a match.
You know, that honestly is a good question, because I really feel like it depends on the team's personality. So, you know, one of those things is, you know, just being able to get over a loss quickly, because you've got a lot of game still to play. So it's just, I don't know. I think it comes down to how the team handles it, and if they can just kind of step up and be like, all right, we're starting fresh 0-0. We need to focus on the next one. But I do think having that first win under your belt is always a good feeling. Just a little confidence booster, you know?
Yeah, Clemson took their first set of the conference season a few weeks ago against Virginia Tech, but the Hokies took the next 3. Clemson won the first 2 sets at Georgia Tech last week. The Yellow Jackets took the next 3. So if you're in that Clemson huddle, what are you focusing on to try to keep your composure throughout an entire match?
I think for them right now, like, let's just keep up with what we're doing and keep our style of play. I think Clemson's doing a really nice job, and honestly, right now it feels like they're letting Wake kind of make those unforced errors for themselves. I feel like, you know, us being pickleball players, the unforced errors is what it's all about. And so, yeah, I think Clemson's hanging in and doing an excellent job. And I mean, Clemson has had a tough season so far with some of the opponents that they have gone up against, and taking Georgia Tech at Georgia Tech to 5 is incredible.
Yellow Jackets in the top 20 yet again, as Charles gets picked up twice. Huge dig by the freshman from Indiana, Addie Raines, out there. As Farrell returns the favor, back to Maruska. Wow, the middles are getting involved on D as Hansen sets things up, and Daly puts it away.
Looks like we had a little bit of a touch right there on that. So one of the things I have to recognize right now, being in this new gym, I'm not sure if we'll get to see how high the ball went. We didn't from the dig, but if we were in old Jervy, that would have gone off the ceiling. So it's just so unique to not see balls going off the ceiling anymore.
Great to see Hansen add into her service run with a dig as well. Pick up by Sam, out to Daly. Sharp angle, a little too sharp, and that ends a 4-0 run. But you mentioned the ceilings, a 15-foot increase in the height of these ceilings here. Coach Keir said only 1 ball this season has hit it, and it was in practice.
I thought that was hilarious that they have this memorable 1 ball that hit the ceiling. But, you know, I will say the funny thing is for Clemson is that they almost had this competitive advantage because they were so used to the lower ceiling, where for other teams they were like, what is this? How do they play in this type space? So it's just, I mean, a beautiful facility. It is a whole new world in here. When I walked in, I was blown away.
2 great saves by the Demon Deacons. An opportunity for Sant to go out to Daly. And Asia Daly with 5 kills in this opening set, and the Tigers storming ahead by 6.
Asia Daly doing just a great job right there. You know, that last ball, she cut it really sharp and it went out. She shook it off and just answered right back. You know, one thing I really like seeing right now is I feel like the defense right now is very scrappy from both sides, which that's why I feel like it's, you know, making for a good match. Just like that right there.
Tremendous dig, one-handed punch by Sant. But Crawford makes some pay, the scrambling defense, as Wake Forest gets the side out.
Yeah, Wake Forest right now definitely in a good position with having Crawford in the front row. And then Frankie, she came in, subbed in at the middle of this game, and I mean, took a couple of kills right away.
Clemson 4 points away from nabbing this opening frame. Strong serve by Farrell, and she'll celebrate. 5th ace of the season for the junior bro.
I think that Emma Farrell might be the only lefty we're seeing out here right now from both sides of the court. Which is funny because you and I were talking about, you know, traditionally when you are a lefty, it's an advantage for so many sports, but when you're a libero, it's not quite the same.
So Clemson will gladly trade points here on out as McKenna Gildon goes back to serve. McGrath in the front row with Yoki and Young. Certainly a point-scoring rotation for the Tigers. Was that saved?
I mean, talk about Scrappy.
Oh, it's going to be a
yeah.
double anyways, as the third ball contact was sent over illegally, but we are seeing incredible defense. Already 18 digs this set for the Tigers.
It is. It's making it so exciting. But yeah, you mentioned that double contact, which was one of the newer, more unique rules for volleyball that we're all adjusting to, is that you can have the double contact on your side, but you can't send it over with the double contact. So.
And now getting tight to the net, Sant, as that's as good as an ace for Wake Forest, and they pull within 3. Ryan Baker, the junior setter, has had to split the role this season with the freshman Becca Bellows. But a 5-1 offense here this evening. Young, trigger happy as she's off to a great start with 3 kills.
You can see right here, I mean, perfect pass. The Tigers are in system. And I think the blockers just kind of got caught. There wasn't many options right there.
I mean, you could just frame that picture.
It was pretty picture perfect, I agree.
In comes Hansen, 2 points from the set for Clemson. And right into the donut goes Crawford for her 4th kill. Those first ball side outs have not come easy this set.
Yes, I totally agree with that. You can see Devin right there. She kind of had her hand on that ball, but just couldn't pop it up.
So Crawford will go back to serve. 28 aces leads the team. She could use a service run here. But a good duck by Gildon, and Clemson has 4 set points.
That was a nice little duck there.
So a defensive sub, out comes Crawford, in comes Santer. And that dangerous high contact float here from Yoki, something to keep an eye on. Great pass by Santer. Murphy again, out of system now from Taylor. And that one will hit the line. Frankie gets the grad senior bounce there.
Frankie did a nice job there with a little bit of hang time. You could tell she was almost a little early and off, so she just threw it, which she obviously likes that side of the court. Been very consistent.
Still set point for Clemson. And Hansen will send us to the second as the Tigers take the opening set convincingly here in Jervey. It's a set they'd probably lead the country. And so we'll see if that can be kept up as Gildon serves to start the second. Good pass by Farrell, and Baker lucks her way into a kill to start the set.
I think she might, I'm questioning if she was gonna challenge this one. She's got the green card in her hand, but she just dropped it back down.
It's just not quite worth it, is it? Because if you win that challenge, you get a replay of the point. You don't win the point.
Right.
And of course, just 1 point into the set. I'm sure that's the thinking of Coach Keir, as Farrell with an ace in the first set. Sends a short float. Yoki down the line, and that's hard to dig.
And I mean, what we just saw right there, you mentioned picture perfect a little bit before, but I mean, Devin Taylor has this gorgeous pass, great set where she had plenty of options, and I love that Yoki is just such a power for the Tigers.
Off 1 foot goes Frankie, and what a difference this Wake Forest offense has when Frankie is out there.
I think Frankie is just one of those, she's a veteran and just shows great skills and leadership for the Deke. So, you know, she's obviously earned her place here in the front row, and she's got some power behind her, and obviously some height.
Serve goes long, and back to Olivia Frankie. We weren't sure she was gonna be able to play. Coach Smart didn't even know until about an hour and a half ago when the trainer came over to her, cleared Olivia Frankie, and really gave Wake Forest a little bit more experience on the court.
Yeah, definitely has made a difference. And I think for Frankie, just kind of one of those nagging little injuries that you want to go away, but, you know, just want to make sure that you're healthy, especially because, you know, they still have a lot of season ahead of them. But I can't believe that we're almost in the end of October right now.
Murphy keeps it inside the antenna. That was impressive to give Wake Forest the lead by 1.
That was a very impressive swing right there. That was a tight set where she did not have many options and just squeezed it right in between the pin. Look at this swing with just power. Great job.
She had it outside McGrath and inside the candy cane.
I mean, that looked like inches. Not, maybe, if that. I don't know how that just happened.
Clemson players were looking at their bench asking to challenge, but it was not, as McGrath gets it right back. Mia McGrath with a tough first set, hitting negative, but she needs to get more sets to get going.
This is the Mia McGrath with that swing that we've been waiting to see. I mean, she leads the Tigers in kills this season, so obviously a instrumental player for this team, and it shows with that big swing right there.
The junior from Illinois will serve and pick up an ace. Her 17th of the season, as Clemson can only go as far as their servers take her, says Kier.
You know, one of the funny things I told you, Clemson has this podcast where the student athletes, the soccer players, it's called Beyond the Paw, and Mia McGrath was featured on it this week. So got some fun tidbits that I hope to share just throughout this broadcast, because one of the things is she's wanted to go to Clemson since day one. That was her school.
And this will be a back row attack from the setter in Baker, as she tried to deceive the defense but could not get it by the up judge in Betsy Smith.
Yeah, and that might be one of those situations where, you know, when you're used to the 6'2" for a little while, getting maybe just a little bit confused.
The cover by Frankie sets things up out to Murphy. Daly's first swing of the set is a rocket, but she goes into the net.
Jackie is going to challenge this one with the green card.
Well, she's thinking about it. Let's see if we get our first look here.
She put her hands on it definitely a handful of times, just leaving some fingerprints, but let's see if it's actually, oh, looks like we're tucking it back again.
Hard to tell, but someone on Clemson's side told their coach, don't challenge. So Daly will get another chance. Out to Maruska, who has been pretty quiet for her standards.
Yeah, I think I'm just waiting for that moment for the Deeks to just light up and show the power that their hitters really do have.
And now Daly misses wide, and so much of this sport is momentum, as the Wake Forest team and Deacons went on a few runs in the first set, but consistently shot themselves in the foot. What do you see from them that can carry throughout this match positively?
You know, that's a great question. I think it's just a matter of finding their rhythm right now and, you know, getting into momentum. I don't think that they've quite found their groove, and they haven't had one player in particular that's really kind of carried the team and taken off. So I think they need to create those moments that can happen.
Well, that feels like a potential momentum point as Maruska and Charles team up, and Wake Forest with a 3-0 run.
And with Charles entering on the court, I think that she just brings such a high level of energy and excitement for the team, which is going to be good.
However, service error number 6 evens us up in set 2 as Indigo Young checks in. Now comes Frankie. Clemson's middle presence was massive in that first set, Megan. 3 kills for Young, 2 for Hansen. As Kate will serve here. Wow. A dent in the Terraflex from Maruska.
They might have to send her a bill for that one for the brand new gym. My goodness, I mean, nothing but just straight power. And you see how high she jumps? It's incredible. That's one of those things that I actually do love about Maruska. I think she stands at 5'8", 5'9"-ish, and you know, we all get so hung up in volleyball about how you have to be above 6 feet in order to even think about being in the front row. And we're seeing this on actually both sides of the court. We've got Maruska, who's a little bit on the shorter side, and then you've got McGrath, who's standing at 5'11", and at one point was actually discouraged to be a front row hitter.
Oh, this is tight to the back line, played by Santer. Maruska will send it long, and an awkward point evens us up at 7. This is what I think we expected more, these teams so evenly matched. A set like this where they're tied almost every point.
Definitely. I think that just in that first set there, the Tigers got a couple good runs that really gave them the confidence to push ahead, and I just don't think Wake had enough time to answer back. But this is an opportunity for them to really, you know, create their energy so that they can answer back and be tied going into the break.
Lengthy point Poor set saved, however, as Charles punches it over. Sent right back, and Santer out of the back row gets her first kill.
Santer doing a nice job just being a back row option and available. Taking a good swing and just hitting that to the right back corner there.
Jamie Santer, who just averages about a kill a set, doing what she was brought in to do, adding a defensive presence and a little bit of a back row attack. As the defense from Wake has been omnipresent in this set. But cannot catch up as Yoki on take 2 evens us at 8.
I love what we just saw there for Yoki as well, because, you know, traditionally we keep seeing her swing on the right side. So now all of a sudden we can see that she's very capable hitting at any pin.
You're right, this is from the left for the freshman out of Finland, whose dad came last week, got to see her in person for the first time.
Yeah, that's got to be a really special and exciting thing. And he had to be so proud to seeing the success that she's having already at Clemson, knowing, hey, this was a good choice.
So flips around after the Gildon service error. Neither team has been able to generate much of a run here in this second set. Frankie looking for a touch, will get one, and Wake leads by 2.
We got to give some credit right there to Ryan Baker. It was not the best pass in situation to where you would have assumed that that was going to go out, but set the middle. So, all right, we're going to go to a break right now with Wake Forest 10, Clemson 8.
I voted for Trump twice, but not this time. Trump wants a national sales tax on imported goods. It'll make everything more expensive, all while giving tax breaks to billionaires. Kamala Harris will cut taxes for 100 million Americans. I'm voting for Kamala Harris.
Smile, you found it. The feeling of finding psoriasis can't filter out the real you. So go ahead, live unfiltered with the one and only Sotyktu, a once-daily pill for moderate to severe plaque psoriasis and the chance at clear or almost clear skin. It's like the feeling of finding you're so ready for your close-up, or finding you don't have to hide your skin, just your background. Once-daily Sotyktu was proven better, getting more people clearer skin than the leading pill. Don't take if you're allergic to Sotyktu. Serious reactions can occur. Sotyktu can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB. Serious infections, cancers including lymphoma, muscle problems, and changes in certain labs have occurred. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, liver or kidney problems, high triglycerides, or had a vaccine or plan to. Sotyktu is a TYK2 inhibitor. TYK2 is part of the JAK family. It's not known if Sotyktu has the same risks as JAK inhibitors. Find what plaque psoriasis has been hiding. There's only one Sotyktu, so ask for it by name. So clearly you. Sotyktu.
Something to keep an eye on as the Wake Forest blockers have been bouncing here this season. 2 early blocks, though, in this Friday night matchup. Grikovic got benched, however, but Frankie's also a block machine.
And I think that's the great thing for Wake Forest, is that they have some depth to all of their positions. So they're not set on having to have, you know, those 2 set middles all the time. So we've seen Frankie come in, and now she's capable and answering right back and blocking really solid.
It's an early timeout by Clemson, trailing by just 2. And you draw it up like that, but it's saved on a pinball effort. Free ball, though, as Young is able to place it well, and Farrell runs out of steam.
Young is fun to watch, and I'm looking at the amount of height that she jumps. It's just incredible. Yeah, you can see right here, Emma Farrell left, and she was like, you know what? There's a spot that's open right there. That's a player that reads the court really well.
Crawford mistimes her jump, but it works out, and sometimes fooling the defense works in your favor.
It does, and I think that that spot right there is always kind of a tried and true place to go with, and so I think they just kind of got caught out of system, and it was very unexpected of where is she going to put this ball.
Paige Crawford, the junior from Texas, had 16 kills in the 3-set win against Clemson last year. And there's Hansen, who is not a part of this rivalry yet. The transfer from Texas Tech pulls within 1.
Quickly learning about this rivalry right now.
There's a ton of physicality, although volleyball is not a sport you can necessarily see it matched up like any other would be, but you can feel the tension at the net with the physicality.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that, and I think that that's very well said. But one of the things that appealed me to volleyball was the fact that there wasn't the physicality of touching each other like in soccer and basketball. You kind of stayed to your side, but you were able to kind of just see it through the net and bring that energy.
I think the atmosphere, the energy of the momentum carrying. This is such an even match. Both teams with 19 kills and 7 errors. So tight as service errors get traded. And a 1-point set yet again as Santer will come in for Crawford. Something has to give in this set. One of these teams will make a run or a mistake that will separate them.
Some sort of shift is going to happen. It's just that we cannot predict the future right now.
We get to just sit and watch as Maruska rockets out of a cannon. We're seeing athletes on both sides. Indigo Young and Sahara Maruska really display athleticism.
So much athleticism. Obviously, great additions for the Tigers and the Deeks this season.
Maruska, who averaged 2 kills a set, 3 digs a set with Rice last year. Perennial powerhouse, formerly in Conference USA, now in the American. Ooh, and that one just tails wide. It was like a lob from Asia Daly that couldn't find the corner, and Wake Forest leads by 3.
It did look like that. It had the potential to be a really great spot, but unfortunately she just didn't luck out with that one. You know, mentioning Maruska and some of the other transfers that are at Wake Forest, Randy Smart mentioned that she was very intentional with every single grad student that she picked to add to a part of this team.
That is a Kate Hansen special with a tremendous dig and turns it into a kill. We got to see that again.
I love that. Just shows the immense amount of athleticism which you've been showing here. Look at that.
She comes up from the ground after the dig.
Throws it in there.
And Coach Keir's going to reward her, give her a break, and have Claire Luma, freshman from Wisconsin, serve. Good, smart shot by Maruska. Now, Megan, that's something both of these coaches have a little bit more leeway with. Not using a 6-2 offense, they get to sub a little more.
Yes, that is definitely true, but I think, you know, I've seen the Deeks also run a 6-2, which they're solid with, but, you know, sometimes it kind of boils down to the amount of subs and things like that, so.
And right on cue,
I know.
Becca Bellows will come in, the second setter, as Layla Ricks follows as well, the right side hitter. And Clemson sides out immediately, but Wake Forest has switched to that 6-2 offense now.
You know, and I'll say with Becca Bellows coming in, even when they did run the 6-2, I think the thing that's great for Wake Forest is it's a very seamless transition. There's nothing abrupt to where you're like, oh, thank goodness the other, you know, it's just like everybody was always in there. It's supposed to be the same.
And Young climbs the ladder to pull Clemson within 1.
Massive block right there. Those are the ones that are not really coverable.
And that's mano-a-mano, middle on middle. Bellows out of system, Ricks with her first swing. Out to Yoki, trying to stuff the block. Santer begging for a touch, will not get it, and we are tied again.
You know, I will say, though, for Wake Forest, that has been one of the things that Randy Smart has always wanted for this team, especially, you know, in this season and moving forward, is to have that back row attack option. And I think that Jamie Santer is a great person to do it.
Opportunity for Yoki, but a down ball finds the setter in Bellows. And Maruska unties it and breaks the 3-0 run.
Maruska did a really nice job there on that ball, waiting on the set and not jumping too early, just because it was a little bit more of a non-traditional type opportunity, but she swung those arms hard.
3 kills in this set for Sahara Maruska, and she will serve in system, which means the middle gets a chance, and it's a tight set, beautifully demolished.
That was another kind of picture-perfect moment right there. Got to give a lot of credit, too, to Clemson setter Sand, who just, you know, picking those right moments and opportunities to set the right people, tying the game up now.
One interesting note, Catherine Sant with just one dig in this set, so Wake has changed their strategy after 8 in the first set as Yoki picks it up. 16-all, 9 ties in the set already, and there's the Wake wall as Ricks and Charles retake the lead.
That is so well said right there, calling that the Wake wall. I mean, those two right there, I mean, I wouldn't be wanting to swing. I just try to look for hands and swing as high as I possibly can, because that is a big wall you were up against.
Yeah, both coaches mentioned Ricks and her blocking prowess as the transfer from Maryland. That one got really close to Taylor's shoulder. Farrell thought she had an ace, but the service error gets us tied again. 10 ties in this set.
It's funny, I do feel like with the serves that are going out of bounds, we've almost seen a little bit of like a dodgeball game or matrix going on.
Crawford, long, and Clemson takes their first lead since 4-3 in this second set.
Crawford taking a big swing there from the outside. You can just see her face and energy that she's like, give me the ball, I want to answer back again. And that just shows the veteran mentality that she has in her. And there she goes.
Big swing, and you could tell Crawford yelling for it, but also the leadership of the upperclassman setter to get it to her.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think, you know, unfortunately that was kind of a tough pass, so we knew it was going that direction, most likely. So that's pressure on an outside hitter to, you know, come up with doing something smart, and her swinging down the line was beautiful.
So now that's setter and Baker to serve. In comes Murphy as Yoki on the first ball side out. We're getting into crunch time, Megan, where both coaches have circled the last 10 points of the set.
Yeah, definitely. We're getting down to the final moments right here where, I mean, but look at this. We've been neck and neck this entire time. I don't feel like we've seen any big leads that have happened. So I'm curious how this is going to finish out. Definitely not the way you want to, you know, have things go, but obviously, I mean, Yoki's a great server for the Tigers, and that's normally, you know, a good opportunity for them, but it's going to happen sometimes. You're going hard and you're going aggressive, and you just got to shake that one off and come back when you come back in with a kill.
Addie Raines comes in and serve receive for the Tigers as Crawford closing in on 900 career kills back to serve.
Beautiful pass right there.
And the joust sent back and forth. A free ball comes to the Deeks. Maruska long, and Clemson has done such a good job in these later moments to avoid the hands.
Raines all smiles right there with, I feel like that was almost another duck that we just saw. I mean, she's a new face here as a freshman for the Tigers, but her resume from Indy, I mean, she definitely has quite a history in volleyball.
Yeah, Yorktown native, one of the highlights of the Midwest, as Maruska on the tip. Sant tangled ankles, but she looks to be all right. As 2019 the score. Let's take a look at this swing. Ooh.
You know, I will say for Clemson, of any spot that they are getting burned, I feel like that is the kind of area is just around the 10-foot line, right side or right behind it.
Well, right on cue, I was going to mention it. Maruska does get called for stepping over the plane, so the point goes to the Tigers there. And that's what Coach Smart is conversing. I was going to mention it because that's when the ankles got tangled. And that's a pivotal point. Instead of 20 all, Clemson 4 points away.
It is, but I'll tell you what, some nasty ankle things can happen.
It was the right call. And Olivia Murphy will dispel any run and pull Wake back within one. This is fun. We're having a lot of tight runs. The largest lead in the set, as you mentioned, Wake Forest led 15-11, but the Tigers have been able to cinch closer and closer as they look for a 2-set-to-love lead. Great job by Daly. Out to Maruska, saving it in play. Frankie with the hands, but that does not get over the net. The referees will play on. And it won't matter as McGrath from the back row.
Two impressive back row swings right there for McGrath. That time putting the game to an end and just answering back.
You can see the touch there. Look how far over the net Charles gets.
It's crazy. So crazy. It's so wild. But then, you know what? You've got Mia McGrath standing at 5'11", and you know, I mentioned this before that she had kind of been coached to, hey, maybe you should just focus on the back row and on defense, and she said that that took her and pushed her that much more to be like, no, I'm going to prove these people wrong, and I'm going to play in the front row. And so I think she's a very driven type player, and I mean, now she's leading Clemson in kills. So I feel like that's just one of those cool stories, you know, that you can share, that, you know, you don't have to be the biggest and mightiest. You can still get up there. You just got to work hard for it.
Timeout called by Wake Forest. Let's take a replay of that last play, because I think Clemson would have challenged it anyways, but now we go to that final spot, and what it does, Megan, it avoids Clemson having to use a challenge on the potential 4 touches.
Right, exactly. So
yeah, definitely a touch there. But you mentioned a busy week for Mia McGrath. She had to do something she doesn't like to do, go out of her comfort zone.
Yes, no, and I feel like head coach Jackie Simpson-Keir just bragged, almost like not only a proud coach, but like a proud mama, because she saw that Mia, you know, presented in front of, I think, over 200 coaches and spoke and represented for Clemson volleyball and just knocked it out of the park, which I guess Jackie has said in the past that's not normally kind of that personality. She doesn't really lead with her words, but more so with actions. And I'm trying to think, I know she had a great quote that came out of when they were in there. Let me see, I know I did write it down somewhere because Clemson football ended up using it. Yeah, so what she said, this was kind of her message, she was like, you can either be the same or you can get tougher. So it's just something very small and simple, but yes, busy week for her, and then also doing the podcast for Clemson, which is Beyond the Paw. So yes, a lot of different opportunities there, but the Beyond the Paw is a cool thing to listen to.
And a milestone here this set. This is Mia McGrath's 300th set as a Tiger, as Kate Hansen gets called for a foot fault, I believe, on that serve. Either that or the offense was out of rotation. Let's see if we can get a look here. I don't think it's a foot fault.
I don't think it was a foot fault. I'm wondering if he's calling him out of rotation. Yeah, definitely not a foot fault. Which you and I mentioned that.
There will be a challenge, though.
Yeah, which I think is smart to do. I'm just curious as far as players if somebody was just not quite in the right spot. It's funny, you think at this level of play that the coaches kind of assume that, or I should actually say the refs, you assume that they're like, oh, these girls at this level know exactly where they should be on the court, but it's a little bit different.
Well, you hear here from our down judge, Thomas Hobbs, it is a service foot fault that was called, and from our view, this will be a quick challenge and an overturn. And what's funny about it is when the referee and Hobbs came over to us before the match, walked us through all of the challenge decisions, and here we can look at the challenge rules as well. But you can either challenge a touch, net fault, in and out, or the 2 foot faults. You told me, Megan, I've never seen a service
first
foot fault,
timer over
and here we go.
Yeah, I think it's been definitely a month of Sundays since I have seen a foot fault. So, yep, so it looks like they reversed the call based on the replay, so there was not a foot fault.
Yeah, we're gonna get another look. This, frankly, was not close either. Launched from well behind the service line.
Yeah, not quite sure what the impression was. Maybe he was thinking that she had to land still outside. Yeah, well, regardless, we're getting a redo.
And the score at 22-20 following the Wake Forest timeout. Pivotal moments here in set 2 as Clemson seeks their first ACC victory. An out-of-system ball out to Maruska. Sant securing that outside line. Oh, I think that one might have been heading out, but saved, and Wake stays alive late in the set.
It was a great back row swing right there for Paige Crawford. So what we can see right here is before we were seeing JB Santer sub in back row for Paige Crawford, but now we're keeping her in. So that's, you know, another great offensive option for Wake Forest.
7 kills from Crawford. Good serve by Bellows. Young is blocked. and it stays in, and Wake Forest ties it.
Taking a look at this, I feel like this is the first time that Young has been blocked or anything right now. She just kind of been consistent with kill after kill.
And it just caught the line. Meanwhile, Daly off 1 foot. Pivotal point, 22-all.
Tigers in a little bit of a pickle right now because they have Daly that's staying on the right side.
Tremendous cover by Farrell.
Which they're gonna have to figure this out in transition because Asia does need to be going to the outside.
And Daly has her touch blocked. Clemson frustrated. Let's take a look at this, scrambling everyone.
So yeah, we're seeing Clemson's setter, Sant, on the outside.
That's well over the plane, if you ask me. And that's what Asia Daly was asking about. We're gonna have a challenge to see if there's a net violation on this. So Megan, you can't challenge over the plane. So
Clemson
instead,
is challenging for a net. The original call was no net.
Okay.
This is all Clemson can ask for on this one.
Pressure's on right now. I mean, this score right now, I'd be challenging as well. All right, so we're taking a closer look right here.
Wow, that's as close as it gets. Oh, the net is moving though.
Yeah. It's interesting because it doesn't look like anybody's in the net.
It also doesn't look like the ball hit the net.
It doesn't.
This is gonna be tough.
It is Halloween event here in Jervy, so my guess is the ghost.
This is a quick review. I like the way Thomas Hobbs works.
Yeah, he's very efficient.
The call is confirmed.
Wow. Have to wonder what touched the net.
Yeah, we will never know. But this right here is where Clemson just needs to take the opportunity to find a way to answer back offensively.
Clemson led 22-20. Wake Forest on a 3-0 run as the freshman bellows. Strong serve to Daly, out of system. Right back to Asia. And the first kill from Ricks in a huge moment as the Forest get a few set points.
I will say right now, Wake Forest is set up for a great opportunity with having, as you called it, the wall over there on the right side. And so Clemson's got to be smart offensively and just try to create some opportunities for the offense just because they've got such a big block up against them.
Clemson's coaching staff still giving Thomas Hobbs an earful following that controversial call.
So we're seeing a timeout now here for the Tigers.
Well, you can't take them home with you, can you, Megan? As we reset things on this Friday night alongside the former Clemson All-ACC pin hitter Megan Kolb, I'm Daniel Gilman. And Clemson took that first set 25-21. They were in position to take the second set, leading 22-20, but Wake with a well-timed timeout, and then that big challenge overturned, and then another challenge stood. Yeah. Things were getting a little wacky here on this Friday night.
You know, it's funny. I feel like, you know, you just said this reset happening. I'm like, I feel like we just had a reset, but then there was a reset before that reset. And so I guess this is probably going to be our final reset, considering looking at the scoreboard. However, you know what? Crazy things happen. And so I think Clemson right now, you know, is just huddled up, and they need to figure out a good strategy for how to answer back. And then you've got the Deeks, who are in a really good rotation right now, and they're set up for success as well. So curious how this one's going to close out before we go into the half.
Wake Forest does have one timeout left in this set if they get into some trouble. But how about the move late in the set by Coach Smart to go to the 6-2 offense? Becca Bellows on this epic service run. perfectly timed.
It is, and again, I think that Wake Forest is set up in a really good situation where they've got a lot of different options as to the 6-2, the 5-1, to what hitters they're going to put in. I think it's just a matter of who their opponent is and figuring out what's right to play tough against that opponent. Volleyball's a wild sport, though. Things just go so different all the time depending on the players' moods and personalities and how the season is going. So we're obviously seeing a little bit of a change here right now.
And for Bellows, who had to sit cold for most of the match, this hits the line.
It was in.
And an ace to win the set. And the bench is calling for a challenge, and this is quite a risk as Coach Keir is down to her final one and will use it or lose it. And now another pivotal review, our third in the last 6 points.
This is one of those moments where we've seen technology advance so much in the sport. However, I wish we had the light up on the lines where we would know, hey, there's no question here right now.
Our first look.
Oh.
Original call was in.
This is where I'm really glad that I'm not.
Oh.
That's in the eye of the beholder.
I'm gonna let Thomas Hobbs take the wheel on this one.
Yeah, I'm just glad I'm not in this position because you can either have some really happy people or some really frustrated people.
And remember, at stake, if Clemson loses this challenge, they won't have any for the third or fourth set. They would get one in the fifth. So double meaning in this review. Either the set is over and Clemson runs out of challenges, or we keep playing at 24-23.
Which is a wild thing of just the challenges now even being an option. I mean, I'm not gonna date myself because I think I'm still, 21, but that wasn't a thing. And so when that first came, I was like, man, this is so cool. I love that they have that option just to kind of be like, I'm not so sure about the way you called that one. Because back in the day, we just had to have a real good poker face and kind of just, act like, hey, I didn't touch that ball or I wasn't in the net.
Well, I'll never forget it because it was my alma mater, Taylor Unruh, 2015 Elite Eight, Florida against Texas. 14-13, 14-14, something like that in the fifth set. The ball was so clearly in, called out in Texas's favor, and before you knew it, a few months later, challenge was added.
And
that was the big play that changed college volleyball.
You know what, though? I love that they adapted, because I do feel like volleyball has continued to be something that's just continued to evolve. So, especially just, with side-out scoring, adding a libero. Now we've got a camera right up there on the net so we can just see all the action up nice and close.
I think in 5 to 10 years, some conferences won't have line judges at all. The Bolt 6 technology that the Pro Volleyball Federation uses, they used it in the AVCA first serve to start the season with Louisville, Nebraska, Kentucky, and Wisconsin, and everything was called like Hawkeye in tennis.
So wild.
Here we go.
The call is confirmed.
So the set is over. Wake Forest finishes the second on a 5-0 run. And we step aside for intermission. Take a break, come on back and tell you more about the Jervey renovations. Are ready for play here in this third set, a pivotal third set. Following the Wake Forest run in the second. Already out of system, Daly able to terminate. She had a tough second set after such a ferocious opening frame.
I loved the versatility that Asia Daly has where, she was on the right side. They moved her to the left side, but you can see, regardless of where they're going to put the ball, she seems very comfortable and confident with taking a big swing. But, yeah, I think at the end there, things just kind of didn't go quite her way, but it's a fresh game, and so she's ready to go.
Raines with a big pickup. Taylor can run it down. That would never happen in the old Jervey.
Definitely not.
And system out to Crawford, again Raines. Oh, no one's there though in right front. And a scrappy point goes by the wayside. We're tied at 1.
That was 2 nice solid digs back there. Look at this. I mean, that was getting right under it, but unfortunately just players not in the right place.
See some of the Halloween decorations in the student section here today.
You know, I have to say my personal favorite's the M&M couple that we saw earlier on.
Agreed. And there's a smart shot right off the right hands of Yoki by Crawford, who has 9 kills.
Yeah, Crawford, she's just, you know, I've said it, she's a veteran. She's just very comfortable with a lot of different shots in her tool belt. And so I think that that's just something, I think they're going to continue to lean heavily on Crawford in this 3rd game.
Pick up by the freshman Lalaji. McGrath gets the touch and the kill. 2-all.
McGrath did a really nice job there because that pretty much was her only option, was to swing high and look for hands in that situation. So as soon as she swings, she's looking, asking for those hands.
We're gonna have a challenge here, the first challenge of the night for Randy Smart. This is one of the harder challenges to overturn the touch call at the net.
It is a very challenging thing, and you know, while you've mentioned that he's been kind of quick and efficient, I do feel like the touch calls are usually the ones that take a little bit more time, just because you have to investigate so closely to see if there were any hands really on that ball.
Thomas Hobbs, we didn't say his name for the first hour of this match, and it has been a barrage in the last 20 minutes.
Definitely, he's kind of the man of the hour right now. They're putting him to work with these challenges.
Here's our look from the net cam. Oh, good luck.
Yeah, I got nothing. I mean...
Well, the antenna's in a tough spot as well.
Yeah, we're just gonna leave that to the expert.
Needing clear and obvious evidence to overturn.
You know, it always makes me laugh when we have these challenges with the language of like clear and obvious evidence. I feel like we're like presenting something, legal documents in the court.
I'm just glad the phrasing got a little easier. What was it used to be? It used to be something that was a very tough word to say.
Yes, I can't remember what it was though, but yes, you are right. But yeah, man, I feel like a lot of this recent time has been spent on these challenges.
So the kill registered by McGrath. Very early challenge as well, and a high-risk one. If Wake were to lose it, they'd be down to just 1. Clemson out of challenges unless we go to the 5th.
That's right. You know, from the very beginning, we talked about that this was just going to be a battle and bloodbath, and I think that, you know, every point right now is so valuable to both of these teams that that's why this early on we're seeing a challenge. I love that we're seeing some of the Clemson players dance to the DJ that's in the house.
DJ Shaw, famous here on campus.
So my eyes aren't great, but he is wearing this like spectacular get-up suit. I can't tell if it's Clemson-based or if it's
Halloween.
Or,
yeah,
okay.
It's a Halloween suit from DJ Shaw.
Yeah, the orange was throwing me off a little bit that I wasn't quite sure, but yeah, he definitely has this gym bumping on a Friday night.
Well, I'll take a time here to talk about a few key ACC matches tonight as well. There's a look at the Jack-o'-lantern themed jacket. Meanwhile, 2 top 25 matches currently ongoing. Louisville and Pitt battling in a top 5 matchup. Their first meeting this season. Florida State and North Carolina as well in this conference. How about we take a look at the upcoming TV schedule too, because how about this? On Sunday, Clemson will be on the ACC network against NC State.
The call is confirmed.
And there's our call confirmed as well. Love the uptick of linear matches here this season.
Yes, so many great matches ahead with ACC Volleyball, which everybody loves. They're saying it's arguably the best conference for volleyball right now. I mean, think about all of the teams that are in the top 25 right now, which is pretty incredible. So a very high level of competition, which I know when we talked to Coach Randy Smart, we had asked her, hey, like, what do you think about the changes in growth? And she said, if you're not changing, you're dying. So I think she likes it.
So the challenge was lost, and now the .1 out of it. So a 3-2 Wake Forest lead.
Now we've got Ryan Baker back in to serve again.
The scoreboard says Clemson 3-2. They'll have to swap that. The 6-2 offense was working for Wake Forest in that second set. Great swing from McGrath. That's that zone 4 to zone 4, the sharp angle.
Such a beautiful cut shot that, you know, it takes a talented player at this level to be able to do that, especially depending on the blocks that you're up against. But I think that, you know, a great opportunity offensively there where Frankie was a little delayed on the block, which gave her that opportunity.
Now the score should be 3-3. We'll see if that gets changed at some point. McGrath, great pickup by Maruska.
Great dig by Devin Taylor.
Defense.
Another one would have hit the ceiling previously.
Shining. Murphy, handled by Baker, back out to Crawford. Look at this showcase.
Spectacular defense, especially from the setters right here. You see Sant just kind of trying to scooch out of the way, and she's sprinting back up.
And now Gildon. Oh, Sant smashes against the scorer's table. She's limping.
Who's gonna end this?
I know, the marathon point here at 3-3.
I feel like I can't take a breath until it's done.
Back to Murphy, her 4th swing of the point, and the side out comes for Wake Forest.
Murphy is just such an outstanding player for Wake Forest that she's one of those I feel like you can count on to finish things out. So just swinging right there, the block just wasn't quite closed up. But what a battle we just saw.
Scoreboard operator all over the place right now. 4-3 is the Wake Forest lead. Great serve, picked up by Gildon. Demolished, that's McGrath's best swing of the night.
You know, and I love that you recognize that and point that out because it actually was, the sets brought inside right there to the high middle ball, which we haven't seen yet tonight. And so that might be something that she continues to do because obviously it worked.
Score is 4-4 here in the 3rd set. They're working on changing the scoreboard. Huge dig by Farrell, her 14th.
And Farrell just made that look so seamless, just effortless.
Back out to Daly. And a block, solo variety from Hansen.
We need to give major props to Hansen right now because Frankie, for the most part, has been hitting in that direction. And so she made a small adjustment on the block to force her to where she's either going to have to hit the other direction or she's going to get blocked.
Deep float, eats up Santer, but the pass is on target. Good read from one setter to the other. And Murphy through the block, and a touch is called. And Clemson without a challenge, out of options here.
So we've got Mia McGrath just walking up there trying to debate it, but to your point, unfortunately, they can't call a challenge.
Yeah, Clemson's frustrated because it wasn't the down judge on the left side of your screen that called it. It was the one on the near side corner who called a touch far away from the call.
I think that's just where you got to remember to be resilient here and just find a way to answer back.
Nobody really knows what the score is. I've got it 5-5. That's what the scoreboard says on our computers. But on that swing wide, our scoreboard in the arena now says 6-6. So we will keep you updated. Wake Forest, for all intents and purposes, leads 6-5 right now. Maruska able to get it down and give Wake a 2-point edge.
Maruska just did a great job right there because if you watch the approach she was taking, she was coming in with all power where I would have bet money that she was going to swing hard, but didn't.
Timeout called by Clemson early yet again as we take a break.
I worked for 25 years as a nurse. I paid into Social Security every month. Now that I'm retired, I need that money for groceries and bills. But the way Trump is talking about cutting Social Security, it's crazy. Cutting Social Security is like giving the middle finger to the middle class. Kamala Harris will protect Social Security, not cut it.
FFPAC is responsible for the content of this ad.
The weekend, and weekend mud, and torque for days, and getting home, and your little brother, and why he drives you crazy.
Just park it over there.
Nope.
I think I'm good there. Keep it close.
You hit my truck.
Really?
And one tight spot, and the strength, and the smarts.
I knew it. Come on.
And the Silverado family of trucks, and Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Back inside Jervey Gym, alongside Megan Kolb, I'm Daniel Gilman. Jerry Thomas, our producer, here this evening on the ACC Network Extra as Wake Forest leads early in the third, but we haven't quite seen any momentum built in this set. How do you create that if you're on either side?
I mean, if I were the Tigers, I'm like, we're at home, it is Friday night, and we are so hungry for an ACC win. However, you know, on the other side of the court, you've got the Deeks, who the past 3 times they've faced Clemson, they've beaten them 3 times, so they have confidence there. Again, it's just these two teams, it's just there's so many similarities and parallels. I can't really put my finger exactly on why it's so similar, but it's just it's always a fun rivalry.
Meanwhile, the scorers table still trying to sort out the malfunction from about 6 points ago. We have it at 7-5 Wake Forest.
I think the unique thing, you know, in part that's been going on right now is we've had challenge after challenge or timeout, and so there's just kind of been a lot of things going on over and over. So we haven't gotten into a rhythm, really.
Yeah.
I love it, though. We've got Randy, Smart, and Coach Kier
communicating.
They're talking to each other like, hey, what do you think? Is the score right?
They're on the same page, though. I'm reading lips. They both are saying 7-5.
Yeah.
So now it's just up to the official scorer to catch up. And what we're hearing from our production room is that on the challenge that Clemson won, they were given an extra point early.
Gotcha, yep.
And were never really able to catch up and fix it. So and then you had that 10-minute point. That surely didn't help them because you've got to account for every touch if you're the scorer.
Right. Love the fans dancing out here, getting after it. They've had some candy.
There you go, yeah, right on cue.
I love it. But I also love that these two coaches, they have just utmost respect for each other. You know, when we had the chance to interview and talk with both of them, they just had nothing but great things to say, which I think is always awesome.
I really enjoyed our chat with Randy Smart. You see her here trying to guide the scorers to the right decision. She's got a connection with her team too. She uses the younger lingo, and it just comes more naturally, and that's what you want to see from this new generation of coaching.
I agree. You know, I've actually been seeing a lot of the coaches wear like the Nike Dunks in their school colors, which I think is an awesome touch. You know, it's fun to have a good shoe game. I've seen Randy in some Pandas before, and even when my daughter watched the broadcast, and she was like, she's got good shoes.
All right, huzzah. We are all set at 7-5. Ooh, that was a tough set. Of course, no double called here this season. As Baker picks it up. Tremendous cover by Frankie. Trying to shake the rust from that lengthy delay. And the dump delivered by Sant.
Sant, I love. You can see her shaking her head and laughing right now because I think, unfortunately, the way that she tipped, she had really good intentions. It's just her hand didn't get it quite right. But you know what? Sometimes those unorthodox hits, they can be messy, but they're just challenging to pick up on defense.
Hanson's serving has been so good. But Maruska able to beat the middle on defense, and Wake again ahead by 2.
Baker did a really nice job. That was just kind of a fast shoot set to the outside right there, which I think is what, you know, created that opportunity for her to just blast away.
Pick up by the freshman. Daly will get it again. Maruska heating up now with 7 kills here this evening.
It does. It seems like that engine is starting to heat up right there on the outside for Maruska, and it just, it's just been a matter of time before one of them was just gonna take fire and execute.
Closing in on 20 minutes in this set. Just 15 points played. Hard to gain any sort of momentum with all the stoppages.
Yeah, they definitely need to get to this point where they're just able to play.
Asia Daly would like that. She is certainly a momentum player out on the left side.
It's been interesting watching now in game 3. I feel like the ball is starting to go to the outside a little bit more. I don't feel like the defense is as perfect as it was earlier on where we were seeing all those great opportunities. So more and more you're kind of seeing Asia Daly take the swings, Maruska take the swings. And then I sit here and eat my words.
Right on cue.
Dior Charles that just swinging from the middle. I think that she heard me. It had to have been.
Well, I'll give you this, Megan. That was her first kill since the first set.
Okay. So yeah, on to something here.
There you go.
But what a great swing that was.
It was. Indigo Young has been hot. 5 kills, 1 error. See if Clemson can get the ball to their middle.
Yeah, I think just kind of a little bit more ball control to be able to create those opportunities.
Instead, it's out to Daly, who misses the hands. Her 6th attack error. This is the blueprint that Wake Forest has been able to run with. Adjust after the first set. Take the second and third. Out to Yoki. And Crawford straight down as the Demon Deacons hitting 300 in this set.
That right there is just talent that we saw from Crawford. I mean, the ball had to go there. We all knew it was going there. The block was set up really well, and she still managed to just avoid hands and crush it.
A disguise to Young works well, and it's out to Daly for the side out.
Saying it's battle of the outsides right now, just side out after side out. They're both just answering back to each other. Now we've got freshman Rains, who just subbed in back to serve.
1 ace this season for the freshman. And Charles, first ball side out numbers through the roof this set for Wake Forest.
I mean, all smiles right there, rightfully so for Dior Charles. That's 2 slides in a row that they've run, and she's just crushed it. So I have a feeling that when she subs back in, they're just gonna keep going for it until they can shut it down.
Turns over to Farrell. Young just misses on the cut shot, and Wake Forest stretches the lead to 6.
That was very close. I honestly, questionably, I kind of looked at the refs to be like, hey, how are they gonna call that? So let's take a look at this one more time. Just barely hitting that purple.
How about this? Farrell will change where she serves from. Variety. It's out to McGrath. Great pickup by Maherska. Maruska again with the dig. Crawford creates a net violation, and it's all Demon Deacons now.
I feel like something's just kind of shifted all of a sudden right here, where we're seeing more control on the Deke side, and I also feel like more power. I just feel like their ball control suddenly is kind of clicked for them in this match, which is creating all these great opportunities for their hitters.
So after the timeout by Clemson, Megan, you mentioned how many ACC teams have been running away with matches this season. Of course, the addition of Stanford, the upstart out of nowhere SMU Mustangs, and their wins over Pittsburgh and Nebraska. But look at that, right now, in position to potentially have 5 hosts to start the NCAA tournament.
It's incredible that the ACC is competing at just such a high elite level of competition, which I think that, you know, just everybody that's been a part of the ACC for a while, it just kind of continues to add pride to this conference. And so really fun to see. And I mean, you mentioned Louisville and Pitt playing tonight. I mean, that is going to be a match.
Yeah, Pittsburgh took the first set a few moments ago, 25-21. The NCAA committee last weekend revealed their top 16 teams. And SMU, a bit of a surprise for some, but not those that have been locking in on this young team. Sam Urger, the head coach, Naya Shimei, one of the top hitters in the nation. There's a chance that these 2 ACC teams, either Pitt and Louisville or Pitt and Stanford, can host the regionals, which would be so big for this conference.
Yeah, you know, we got to recognize the addition of the California schools that were brought to the ACC. I know that Wake Forest, they just got back maybe 2 weeks ago from their out west trip, which they said was such an incredible experience. I know for Randy, that's her home, so she got to see some family, and they just all kind of showed up, and just a lot of sightseeing. For a lot of these teams, having the opportunity to just travel across the country is something that not everybody has had the ability to do. So just really cool for them to be able to see new places and take in the culture.
I'd be willing to bet that if you ask most ACC players last year where Berkeley was, I'm not sure you'd get California.
You're like, not quite sure. I will say, though, Wake Forest did a hilarious video of going by the full house.
Yes.
And that was quite comical to watch if you guys follow Wake Forest on Instagram.
Big block by Yoki, and that may get these fans on their feet.
Sometimes it takes that nice stuff block to really get the momentum moving.
Still plenty of time for the Tigers. They were down 15-11 last set and came back, and now the ace for Devin Taylor.
I'll tell you what, the second I saw that ball leave her hand, I knew it just dropped.
And that means a free shirt for the fans as well.
They didn't even throw it in our direction.
No, we never had a chance. Out to Crawford. Momentum chance to go on a run for the Tigers. And it's tipped into the net by McGrath, 16-10.
McGrath smiling right there. She did a nice job. I mean, one of the things that you are taught as a volleyball player is you play until the whistle. And so even though, yes, she did hit it into the tape of the net, she played it out just kind of waiting for the call to happen.
Well, remember, to end the first set, Clemson almost had to challenge on a Wake Forest 4 touches, but now the refs are all over that one.
Exactly.
But Maruska, she is tallying the digs this set. What a pickup. Overpassed by Sant. Out to Crawford, who misses long, and Sant with the fist pump. That's a big point.
I feel like right there, Paige Crawford, kind of one of her few errors that she's had so far. I feel like she's just such a consistent, steady player for Wake Forest. And I know that that's not one of those things that's going to get her down. She'll just turn around and answer right back.
Within 5, Gildon, who had an ace in the first set. Out of system. And a block registered by Hansen and Sant, Clemson 6th.
Great job just getting up there high. I mean, that's a beautiful block right there.
Little late from Murphy. This has been a Deacon team that has covered so many of those blocks already.
There's
unable to.
one.
Back-to-back blocks, and the Tigers are in the set. And a timeout from Wake Forest.
Back-to-back blocks. I mean, that's some alliteration right there for the Tigers.
Nothing will get a fan base going like some blocks.
Yes, or a team. My goodness, it's just makes you feel so strong and powerful when you have that ability. But to your point, yes, Wake has done a really nice job covering any time Clemson has blocked. So this has kind of been a little bit of a shift right here. But I think that the ball, when they're blocking, has just gone to weird places that are just not coverable.
For years, I've been in the forefront of trying to add a statistic of a cover. because you've got such a great play that goes completely ignored through the stats. I think a cover should be up there with a dig.
I do agree with that. And it's almost like having an ace. Like it's a good
momentum,
feeling when you're able to do that. And it's such an important job on the court that, you know, you're taught, you know, in the high school-ish type years, but, you know, sometimes you can get lazy with it. There are some teams that are just not great covering teams, and so I think both teams are doing a really good job, though, tonight.
7 blocks for the Clemson Tigers. They only average about 2% as the Swifties make themselves heard here on this Friday night. Can Clemson climb their way back? What's the conversation like for a team on a run when the other team calls a timeout? Where do you really focus when you're doing well out there?
I know, that's really hard because you've got, you know, for Wake Forest, they're probably just like, hey, we were doing really well. Like, let's not let this change anything. But I do think that that was a really smart timeout call for Randy Smart. And I think the Tigers right now, they're just like, let's stay with this momentum and hold on to what we're doing because whatever we're doing right now is working. So this is tough. I mean, but Clemson's definitely starting to close in that gap.
Well, there were so many stoppages to start the set. Clemson already used both timeouts, and right on cue, Wake Forest drew one up well to their veteran up in the front, and Frankie.
Frankie did a nice job there on that swing because traditionally she's kind of been hitting to that right back spot. So just completely showing that, hey, I am more than capable of putting the ball anywhere on the court.
Perfect ball from Gildon. Out to McGrath. Now Maruska. That was choreographed, and the left-handed put down by Sant.
Beautiful. That right there, I think, is what Sant was trying to execute that last time. But I mean, look at her vertical right there, just all up and dumping it just with aggression.
And she could do it with both hands, Megan.
Yeah, impressive.
Sant, who comes from a volleyball family. Her mom, Kara, played for Northwestern. Her sister, Ella, just took on Wake Forest with Notre Dame last weekend.
Yeah, you know, and I also saw her dad played basketball at at Northwestern. So it's just, you're kind of destined for
the
some
genes.
kind of future. The genes, yeah, they run deep.
Absolutely. Daly trying to find her rhythm after a tremendous first set. That is her 7th attack error with 9 kills for Asia Daly. 18-14. And that one into the middle of the net from Murphy. Do you feel like it's tough for a player like Olivia Murphy? You're going to start in that right side spot in a 5-1 and then rotate into a 6-2, or is it just your same rotations anyways?
You know, I feel like same as anyways, and I feel like this team is just very good at adapting to whatever situation they need to be in. So I think she's good at just, hey, I need to take care of my job.
And Clemson will take advantage on that overpass. Indigo Young generates the kill, and it's 18-16. Hansen had a lengthy service run in the first set. How about that dig?
Oh,
and it
that was a nice effort right there.
Hansen cannot get it over. 19-16 Wake. Dior Charles once again gets up.
Hansen here with the first touch, so she's knocked down and then just tries to stay down and get it again. But you know what? I appreciate the effort of just, you know, weird things can happen sometimes with touches on the ball, so you never know.
Meanwhile, in comes Ricks on the right side of your screen there. That's a power duo of Charles and Ricks on the blocking side.
Yes, a lot of power on the blocking side. And we did see Charles before when we don't have Ricks in, she ran 2 slides before and had a lot of success. So I'm curious to see if that's something we're going to see again.
Remember, it was Bellows who had the 5-0 run, won the set on an ace. But how about that? Off the dome from Daly.
I love that, though, because you know you're getting up there if it's going off of your head. I don't know if I can confidently say if that ever happened to me in my career. I've probably been hit in the head with a ball,
right,
but not in the blocking scenario. So pretty impressive. I think she just snapped so hard over the ball.
See the celebration as well, tapping her head. And a net violation gives Maruska the kill. Wake gets to 21st in this lopsided set that has seemingly come down to earth a little bit. Clemson trying to mount a comeback.
Yeah, the vibe for this third one has just kind of been unique to the thing we've been saying of just a lot of challenges, and there's been a lot of downtime for whatever reason. And so I feel like also, you know, Wake that first game, they were in the net a handful of times, and now we're seeing Clemson have a few net violations.
Big block for Ricks.
Solo block right there. Dior Charles wasn't even over there in enough time.
I was gonna say mistimed by Charles, and now a quick serve here to keep Clemson off balance.
Smart spot right there.
Out to Yoki. Did it hit the antenna first? Yes, it did. Point
I believe so, yeah.
to the Deeks. And remember, Coach Keir is out of challenges. Let's look.
It looked to me like the set was pushed just a little bit past the pin to where it just made it really challenging for her to be able to tuck it inside there.
I don't know. I think that might have hit Crawford's hand first because it was so far over the net. However, you got to live with the result.
We'll never know.
It's like we're in 2012.
I know.
Out to Yoki again. Beautiful swing. Beats Farrell, and oh, DJ Shaw almost comes up with the grab.
He wanted to get that second touch.
Another look here, pulling within 4.
That ball went flying.
Oh, come on, DJ.
And also, you know what's so frustrating sometimes? This is when playing in the big, like, basketball arenas is great, is because you can just run.
And now an ace from the freshman. Addie Raines pulls Clemson within 3, and all of a sudden, this set just got a lot more interesting.
It definitely is, and I just kind of said in my head, one at a time. That's kind of the mentality that you have to have. And like Jackie Simpson-Keir had said, they've been practicing handling and getting comfortable with this pressure, and right now that's exactly what Clemson has. The pressure is on.
But Layla Ricks able to gear back and generate a pivotal side out. 2 points from the set for the Deeks.
Ricks has come in this third game and just kind of been a shining star for the Deeks. Whether she's blocking, hitting, been very successful.
Quick little drive, get back home, and then head down to Atlanta for a Sunday afternoon meeting. Wake Forest against Georgia Tech.
Oh my.
Yeah, that was a big one. Frankie and Ricks. A bit of a dagger block there. We take another look. But no. Yes, we take a look.
I didn't know if we had a net call that was right here.
No net call.
No net call.
And remember, no challenges left for Clemson as Wake takes 5 set points into the Farrell serve.
I need to take I wish we had, in addition to their height, what they touch.
Vertical.
I feel like vertical would just be very fascinating, because I remember when it was such a big deal if you were touching 10 feet, and I think that these girls are well beyond that.
Well, Yoki able to keep the set alive. I'll give you an example. Indigo Young at 6 foot, she touches 10-4.
Wow. I mean, that's impressive. And then I believe it was Asia Daly who had knee surgery before and came back touching, I think, another ½ an inch higher.
Medical advances.
That's right.
Touch there, keeps the point alive. Back to Crawford. 24-20 here in the third. Wow, what a dig.
That was a great dig.
Free chance out to Yoki. Second dig of the point from Bellows.
We've seen a couple of these just never-ending volleys.
Yoki is there. Out to McGrath. Holy cow, Farrell. And it cannot get over. Fourth touch Won't call, but it won't matter. It's put away by Crawford. Wake Forest wins the set on a tremendous point.
Clemson Tiger work for them so that they can secure a win.
Yeah, we'll talk about Hewitt in a little bit. She's played just one set this season. Meanwhile, you see Wagner there, number 2. Fresh legs on the pin. And a good tip by Wake Forest starts the 4th set.
Well, and while Wagner is fresh coming into this game, she's definitely very experienced and confident, you know, playing for the Tigers. She had an outstanding freshman year for the Tigers, so she has the capability to step up in this role and help kind of lift them up.
Farrell to serve as Wake Forest looks to finish this in 4. As Yoki, the freshman, misses wide, and the Demon Deacons lead by 2.
I love seeing Wake Forest right now has some fun energy on the sidelines, doing little cheers. I feel like you don't as often see that, but they're definitely having a good time right now.
We've seen both freshmen on the defensive side, Lalaji and Rains stepping up. Right on cue, Addie Rains with a big dig.
The shoulder dig. Dig's a dig.
Crawford.
2 digs in a row right there.
Yeah, she'll create a net violation. Paige Crawford, 14 kills. It's her 8th match this season with 10 or more.
I feel like Paige Crawford is one of those players that only improves as the game continues to go on. I feel like there's more and more power. So I feel like, you know, we're in game 4 now. She's just getting started.
Indigo Young. 5 kills in the first 2 sets, only 1 in the 3rd, but that's a big kill to get out of that 3-0 run.
Yeah, definitely came out with a strong start for Young, and then it got a little quiet there. So again, we see that there's kind of some changes that are being made on the Tiger side. So hopefully this is going to work in their favor right now.
Yeah, Young will serve for herself for the first time. Hewitt in there for just the 2nd time this season. Sophomore from LA,
Incredible
number 9.
hustle right there for the Deeks.
Out to Wagner, and she'll create a net violation for Kennedy Wagner's first kill tonight. So it's a new look Tigers team here in the 4th set. What does that do to momentum to try to spark something?
You know what, I think that that's exactly what they're trying to do. So that's a great question. I feel like it's just kind of bringing a fresh personality to the court, and maybe just, all right, we've kind of had the same thing over and over, and Wake has managed to adapt to the situation. So just figuring out something new, a different style of play so that they're kind of on their toes again.
Ryan Baker, the junior from Illinois, a very Illinois-heavy Wake Forest team. In fact, there is not one player from the state of North Carolina on the ball club. That is a rarity.
I always find that so comical, but yes, no, there are a lot of Illinois representation that we see from both sides of the court. A lot of these players did play for Sports Performance, which that's where I came from. It's just kind of, you know, a lot of us are from there.
Meanwhile, Kennedy Wagner had a hot start to the season. She did have 7 kills against Wake Forest last year. 2 early terminations here in the 4th. Good serve by Gildon. And a net violation again. That's the 2nd one against Hewitt here this set.
Gosh, you know, I feel like we've seen a lot of net violations, which you've got to just kind of clean that up, because that's just not what you want, especially in this 4th game.
And you hope Kate Hansen's all right. She went down and then got served for it to end the 3rd set. Has not come back since. Currently working on her knee over on the Clemson sideline.
That was a great serve right there for Paige Crawford. I mean, that ball barely just skimmed over the tape.
29th ace for Crawford. The first reception error for Devin Taylor. And the lead back up to 3.
You know, and you make a great point right there. I mean, you've got Devin Taylor, top libero in the ACC. You know, if she's getting ace, that there's something behind that serve.
Asia Daly will come back in, as will McGrath. So a fresh rotation for the veterans to start the set. Ava Hewitt played 17 sets last season, had 13 kills. She has played just one set this year. That came in early September as this one tipped. No, missed. Oh, now overturned, and they will get the tip. Gildon, not the best actress around to try to sell that no touch.
Yes, the poker face was not quite right. But unfortunately, you know, Coach Keir can't do anything about it right now.
Yeah, no challenges for this set for Clemson. We take a look. Definitely touched. Wait a minute. Did they overturn the overturn? I guess so.
I literally just looked at the score and had this moment of, wait.
Well,
so we stand corrected.
Yeah, Coach Smart had a challenge, elected not to use it. Clemson gets a break. And that looked to hit the line from Frankie. That's her second time with that cut shot right on the line.
It is. I think that just the way her approach is coming in, we can take a look at it again right here. She's just on that angle where it just swings so hard, just making it super challenging today.
Olivia Frankie, voted the team captain by the players. Has been battling the injury bug all season as Hewitt is blocked off the body for the Wake point.
I love it, actually. You saw Wake's players, they were like spinning in a circle trying to figure out where did that ball just go?
Charles, who had 10 blocks in the 3-set win against Notre Dame last weekend. That's her third. Good read on the dump by Sam. In system, out to Daly. Back to Asia Daly. Wake Forest has been the aggressors on defense here tonight. And now the inside-out punch kill for Maruska.
Asia Daly doing a nice job there on defense, just really trying to get that clutch shot, but now we're going over to a timeout. We've got Wake Forest up 9, Clemson 4.
I'm Jordan Heidema, and soccer is just one part of my story. Jordan outside of soccer is a little bit different than Jordan in soccer. I have moments where I can be silly, I have moments where I can be serious, and you definitely get a sneak peek into who I am with what I wear. Off field, I mean, like street style, baggy stuff. I don't think there's like a gender in clothes. Whatever you feel confident in, go rock it. TJ Maxx. Maxx what makes you, you.
I voted for Trump twice, but not this time. Trump wants a national sales tax on imported goods. It'll make everything more expensive, all while giving tax breaks to billionaires. Kamala Harris will cut taxes for 100 million Americans. I'm voting for Kamala Harris.
My dad's always got his tool belt with him. Now he's living with prostate cancer. He still knows how to be handy. And he also knows once daily Xtandi.
Xtandi treats metastatic prostate cancer that responds to a medical or surgical treatment to lower testosterone. Xtandi is proven to help these men live longer. Xtandi may cause serious side effects, including seizure, a brain condition called PRESS, allergic reactions, heart disease that can lead to death, falls, and bone fractures. Stop taking Xtandi and get medical help at once if your face, tongue, lip, or throat start swelling. Tell your doctor at once if you faint, have a seizure, quickly worsening headache, decreased alertness, confusion, vision problems, chest pain or discomfort, or shortness of breath. Xtandi can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during and 3 months after Xtandi. Most common side effects include muscle and joint pain, feeling unusually tired, hot flashes, constipation, less appetite, diarrhea, high blood pressure, bleeding, falls, fractures, and headache.
Nice work, Dad.
Ask your doctor about Xtandi.
Wake Forest on a 3-0 run here in this 4th set. So happy that you're with us on this Friday evening. Clemson turns around to host NC State on Big ACC Network on Sunday afternoon. Wake travels down to Atlanta, and you put yourself in the Demon Deacon shoes, a win here tonight, and then if you can upset Georgia Tech, your season's right back on track. You're 5-5.
Absolutely, and I think that that's always a great way to go into the weekend, is starting off with a win under your belt. And listen, it's not going to be an easy win for them when they go to Georgia Tech, but, you know, I think all of these teams, depending on what, you know, level of competition they bring that game, anybody is capable of a win. Clemson took Georgia Tech to 5 at Georgia Tech, which we know that's a tough gym and one of the most competitive teams in the ACC.
And how about that momentum point? Daly comes out of the timeout with authority.
think that's just where you see that senior leadership. She's just up there and her hands perfect, just laying it right back into the middle of the court.
Meanwhile, Georgia Tech took a tight first set against NC State a few moments ago. Murphy flings it towards Gildon. Charles with nobody there. Daly took a tumble. Happy to see her get up, but kills don't come much easier than that one for Dior.
That was just wide open spaces right there. She did not have a single block up against her. I, for a minute, thought something happened just because I was like, wait, why was that so easy?
Yeah, unfortunately, it did happen. The Clemson team was worried about their senior leader. But Daly will stay out there at 10-5 here in the fourth as Lalaji. Daly blocked. Charles again, and that's the 7th Wake Forest stuff.
Asia Daly up against just big block again. Dior Charles just over and over again. I definitely think for the ACC with Dior Charles, when you are scouting, that is just something that you need to be prepared for, is just a wall when you play Wake Forest.
And Young, a little comeuppance right back to Charles there with the block.
The youngin answering back. Gorgeous solo block right there. Look at this.
It's the 9th Clemson block, 4 for Indigo Young. Set far from over. Clemson trying to force the 5th.
Free ball opportunity right here for Clemson.
And Yoki delivers. 8th kill for the freshman.
Yoki doing a nice job just powering through that block there.
Tigers are gonna have to dig deep and find someone not named Asia Daly, because she's clearly playing less than 100%.
Yes, that's where, you know, you got to step up all the other players and, you know, create those opportunities to find somebody that can get good momentum. And that's what we're seeing right here with Yoki. 2 kills in a row right now.
She spent her age of 13 to 18 as a part of the Finland national team. Her dad is a coach in the pipeline, finally got to come and see her play last week against Georgia Tech. And Nea Maria Yoki coming up big in this set so far.
Devin Taylor right there just with the one-handed dig. Beautiful.
Down the line goes Maruska. Sant wanted an out call.
Yes, Maruska just pointing down at it. I mean, just the continued power that comes out of this girl is just so incredible. Great shot right there down the line.
I love that out call.
You're trying to call that out like, no, yeah.
That'll end the 3-0 run, but Clemson gets themselves back in the set.
Cover that, good coverage.
Handled by Young. Could have been a lift, no call. Slide
Dior
though.
on the slide right there.
Blocked out of bounds.
Dior just continuing to execute on that slide. It's been successful over and over again for the Deeks.
9th kill for Dior Charles, 1 away from a career high. How about Daly in the middle? This just misses though, and short hops Jake Hong, the assistant coach for Wake Forest, as Clemson will use their final timeout of this set. We're gonna stay right here as Wake Forest relinquished a large lead, but a 3-0 run of their own gets it right back. What are you seeing from Wake in this transition game that's excelling?
You know, that's a great question. I think for them, really, the blocking continues to just shine for them, which is always going to add confidence and opportunity. I mean, the defense doesn't have to do as much work when you have those blockers up there that are handling it. But I also think just their ball control, I feel like it shifted in that 3rd set to where now in the 4th, it's just, you know, poured over to where opportunities are continuing to happen. And I think just, I feel like every player on their side right now is doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Meanwhile, on the other side, Clemson down just 6. They've cycled through players, tried that out. What is the next step on the checklist of shaking things up?
You know, it's a great question because, you know, typically when you're feeling challenged, you need to go to your outside hitters. The ball control is kind of gotten a little bit messy for the Tigers, where normally you need to depend on your outside hitters to be able to execute and step up. So I think that Clemson right now is just, they all got to kind of put their arms around each other and take ownership of the positions that they're in and just find a way to kind of get out of this rut and build momentum. I think that's exactly why their head coach called this timeout right now.
This is the third time in the last 2 weeks that Clemson has won the first set. They did it against Virginia Tech, lost in 4. They won the first 2 sets last week at Georgia Tech, but fell in 5. You have to imagine it's just a matter of time before the Tigers put it all together. But they're running into a tough one with the Demon Deacons in full control now. However, the old timeout to ice the server works, and Clemson within 5.
You know, it's funny, when I was, I know I've referenced this podcast a couple of times, but the Clemson soccer players, they were interviewing Mia McGrath, and they asked her, is serving like throwing a free throw? And initially in my head, I was kind of like, what do they mean by that? But basically they were talking about kind of the pressure that you feel because it's quiet, all eyes are on you, you know, and I was like, you know, that's actually very well said. I'd never thought of it that way.
Great sharp cross kill from Crawford to get to 15, and her 900th career kill. What a moment for the junior out of Texas.
What an incredible accomplishment. I mean, so well deserved. And again, I feel like she's one of those players that just only gets better as she's gotten older, and honestly has just gotten better as every game has continued to go on.
Yoki. She'll get to 10 kills for the 8th time this season, but back to Crawford. Seemingly owns Clemson. This is her 4th time playing Clemson. All 4 matches with 10 or more kills for Paige Crawford.
Yeah, it's funny, you just have those certain teams, I feel like, when you play them where something clicks, and I can't explain it, but you just, I don't know, there's a level of confidence, and I think for her, obviously, she's like, oh, all right, we're playing Clemson, I feel pretty good here. And that was the same thing for Olivia Frankie the last time that she played against the Tigers, had, you know, one of the best games of her life.
Great save by Hewitt. And again, it just goes Crawford's way. A little out of system fling from the top of the right hand, and it's her 17th kill.
I know, I don't want to say that it's ugly, but sometimes those out of system hits, they're just not great and sloppy, but manage to, you know, work in your favor. And listen, to me, a kill is a kill, so I would take it.
I was gonna say, a point is pretty. Any way you can find it.
Exactly.
16 to 10. And Wagner dug by Crawford. Kennedy Wagner has had 2 great swings this rotation. Nothing to show for it yet.
Yoki doing a nice job swinging high right there.
Out of system, out to Wagner. Did that hit the ground? I believe so. Remember, Clemson has no challenges, but they get the point on a Hewitt block.
It's funny, you see some of the Clemson fans standing right now talking about that ball hit the ground, but, you know, the ball doesn't lie. It works in their favor, so we just got to let it go. And I honestly, I'm so curious. Like, let's take a look at this.
Yeah, clearly hits the ground.
That was on the ground.
It's a good thing they didn't show that in the arena, because this place could have gone.
Oh.
Ooh. Demolished by Crawford.
That thing has flames coming off of it right now. I mean, that set right there, the changeup that we saw it wasn't pushed all the way out to the pin. It was just slightly inside, and I mean, she hit the snot out of that ball.
8 points away from the victory on the road. Another tremendous dig by Farrell. Unable to put away the overpass.
Kennedy Wagner just bringing the heat right there, but when you've got Emma Farrell as your libero, it makes it a lot more challenging to be able to put that ball away.
Farrell with 24 digs, and Maruska delivers another double-double.
On Wake's side right now, just looking at all these players, you've got some veterans that are just very comfortable and confident with playing for this team, which is fun to see.
And an ace. Who else but Crawford, her second tonight.
Crawford just unstoppable right now. Whether she's in the front row, back row, it doesn't matter.
3-0 run for the Demon Deacons.
Look at that serve.
And the joust is won by Frankie. It is officially demon time here in Clemson.
Tigers just scrambling right there, trying to find a way to get that ball back over. But this is where they need to just dig their heels in. They've got a good passing team, so they just need to really find a way to get that ball right to the setter so that they can create some opportunities.
And another ace. Crawford gets to 30 on the season, and it's 21-11. And you got to get to a sub if you're Clemson, and they will, as Wagner comes out for McGrath.
This serve right here that we're seeing with Paige Crawford, it is just floating and dropping, so making it very challenging to return.
Handled by Gildon. And McGrath with the first ball side out, much needed there.
Well, that was a great call there for head coach Simpson Kier to sub her in and answer back with a kill.
So Mia will go back to serve, the junior from Illinois. Ooh, a cheeky tip. Sahara Maruska with 11 kills.
That was very sneaky right there. That was one of those just barely tapped it over the net. Taking a look right here, look at her fingers on and just putting it right over, saying.
In comes Elena Dragani. Sophomore setter to serve. And Hewitt gets her first kill of the season.
Something to be celebrated. That's always a good feeling.
No doubt.
And a nice swing right there in the slide.
So Ava Hewitt comes in for the injured Hansen. Now Young is up there as Charles overjumps the set. Out to Murphy, and that's blocked. Young and Daly add a little spark here.
Great block right there. Sometimes that just, you know, it's what you need to shift the momentum a little bit.
Coming out party here tonight for Indigo Young. And this misses wide, 22-15. And Megan, you go back to that. Last weekend against Georgia Tech, Indigo Young was replaced by Kate Symington. You have to imagine the intensity and competitiveness to know that you're now competing for a spot. She has to step up her game.
It is, it's wild, you know, sometimes you forget about how ruthless it is and competitive it is internally for your team to have a spot on the court. And so, you know, you just were talking about Indigo Young, and she is showing off right now.
Single-handedly keeping the Tigers in this match. And a timeout from Wake Forest. You have to imagine that was a goal from Clemson a moment ago, just to get Wake Forest to use a timeout.
Yes. Yep, let's shake their boots a little bit to where we just force them to cause another timeout, because at this point right now, obviously Wake Forest is feeling pretty comfortable and confident, but, you know, 3 points away from finishing out this entire thing. But, you know, there is still time. I think that's the thing to focus on, is just really, you know, taking it one ball at a time. And I know in this situation, Wake Forest is probably trying to ice the server a little bit to see if they could create an opportunity for themselves. But, you know, this is where Clemson just kind of has to find that way to shine. And all the players on their court need to step up. And I think Indigo Young right now is kind of the player right now that's really helping out.
Certainly one of the beauties of this sport, Megan, there's no clock. Can't run out the clock. You've got to get to 25 or 15 if you're in the fifth.
That's right. But one of the things we're seeing right here on Wake Forest side, you see pink bows in some of the girls' hair as we're recognizing Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And one of Wake Forest's former coaches, Heather Call Holmes, passed away a handful of years back from breast cancer. And she actually, there's ties to Clemson as well because she did play for Clemson. So, you know, just want to recognize and pay tribute to her and for all of the breast cancer survivors.
Absolutely, we had our annual Dig Pink match, Virginia Tech against Clemson a few weeks ago. Meanwhile, we look at Indigo Young's road here, and she led the conference in hitting percentage back-to-back seasons, up over 330 last year. Second team All Big South as well, trying to propel an epic comeback here tonight. But Charles able to clean up after the overpass, and it's 23-16.
The level of vertical that Charles, I feel like everybody just, there was not even really an answer in that situation on the overpass just because they knew that she was gonna kill it right down.
Great dig, punched over by Charles. Wake Forest has been so scrappy on defense. 80 digs on the match. And a net violation gives Daly her 11th kill. Meanwhile, Pitt and Louisville tied 25 all in the second. Louisville trying to tie that match up. Catch that after this in the same app. Another big block, and it's match point for Wake Forest.
That is just Dior Charles showing up tonight. I love the smiles, just so excited and happy. I mean, holy cow, the blocking is just unstoppable.
Meanwhile, 23 digs for Catherine Sant. It's a new career high by 10.
Which, that's a great goal to accomplish because setters playing defense first, which is exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
Daly able to punish one off the shoulder of Maruska. Let's take another look at this.
I feel like I just watched this in slow-mo with how the response was.
Yeah.
Like,
Tell you what, if she gets out of the way, the match is over.
Yep.
But we keep on ticking. 6 points down as Raines serves. And it's Ricks who wins it for Wake Forest. A comeback victory for the Demon Deacons. And the 4th straight win against